Now, Gina, start with you. You know the term dog and pony show. Was this week a dog and Comey show? And are Americans suffering because of it?
I think exactly. I honestly, the only people that are concerned about the things that we wonks are concerned about, right, are the people inside the Beltway and the people in our business. Because people in Kansas, people in Texas, Eric, you talk to them, they're concerned about the things that the poll reflected. These are the things they were concerned about in the election, and it would behoove our Congress and the rest of the politicians out there to catch on to this.
I'm going to get to Lisa and Rachel in a second, but I want to go to you, Juan. Look at that. Russian meddling, number 7 on the list. Meanwhile, if you listen to Democrats or you listen to mainstream media, it's Russia, 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 like Marsha, and the Brady Bunch.
That's pretty good. I like that, homie. I like that a lot, Eric. You know, but wait a second. 61% in the poll that you just showed. 61%, nearly 2/3 of the American people, understand that our democracy is based on the idea of fair elections, honest elections, not being influenced by any foreign power. And don't forget, what's wrong with the idea that Congress can walk and chew gum at the same time? They can do more than one, but protecting our essential institution, an honest presidential election, I don't think you can get away from it.
I'm going to go to that in a second, but I want to stay with you for 1 second. In a couple of days this week, the stock market, the Dow, made another record all-time high.
Right.
If they're so worried about Russia, it certainly isn't playing out in Main Street America, not mainstream media.
No, I think it did. The Wall Street thing was an evidence that there was no compelling evidence presented by the FBI chief that would lead immediately to a total disruption of the political process, namely impeachment.
Okay. What about you, Lisa? Your thoughts on the mainstream media obsessing over Russia?
Yeah, I think this is an issue with the mainstream media as opposed to Congress, because Congress is doing its job. Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy released information yesterday showing that the House has actually passed 158 bills, which is more than any other Congress in the modern era. The president has signed into law 37 laws as well. So, look, Congress is doing its job. The administration also rolled out an infrastructure plan this week. So things are getting done. It's just not getting attention. And in terms of the Senate Intelligence Committee, look, it's that Intelligence Committee job to focus on things like Russian interference. So they're doing their job. So Congress is doing their job, but the media doesn't care. And I do think it's to the detriment of the American people, because you're right, Eric. They care about jobs. They care about the economy. They care about being able to pay their bills when they get home at night. Right. And the media just doesn't care.
Let me bring it to Rachel. Rachel, your husband, I'm guessing, is on board with the infrastructure plan, right? Is that right?
Yeah, he absolutely is. And so are a lot of blue dog Democrats that voted for Trump. Let me just say this. This poll absolutely renews my faith in America. The #1 issue that the American people care about, debt. They understand that an out-of-control federal government and our out-of-control debt is the biggest threat to our democracy and to our security and to our prosperity. So, you know, the American people always know what's best. This Senate hearing was a big waste of time. Shame on the Senate for having this hearing. There was no evidence of collusion. They knew that going into it. They gave in to the pressure of the media and the Beltway.
Hold on. Rachel, yes, there was. There was. No, wait. There was a smoking gun. There was collusion. Unfortunately, it wasn't Donald Trump in Russia. It was Loretta Lynch, James Comey colluding to change the narrative of the Hillary Clinton campaign.
That's absolutely right. And listen, Senate, wake up. Do your job. Start focusing on the things that the House has been focusing on. They passed a repeal of Dodd-Frank. We should be having more hearings in the Senate on that. We should be focusing on health care. The American people voted for all of this to happen, and everything's getting gummed up in the Senate. Everyone call your senator.
Gina, hold on, Lisa. I'm going to get Gina in here. Your thoughts on you watch these other networks, and it's like these anchors they're upset. They're mad there's not more connection between Russia and Donald Trump. Instead, they should be rejoicing in the fact that there is no collusion or no evidence of collusion.
They should, and that's exactly why, you know, the media is changing so rapidly, Eric, because the media is tone deaf to what the American people are actually concerned about. We've seen that over and over. That's why newspapers are failing. I looked at the headlines today in the green room at Fox News, and I'll tell you, it was
outlandish. It is not what the American people saw take place yesterday in those hearings, Eric. And so there is a massive disconnect between the media and the American people. And you look at President Trump, he's on an agenda. You know, you've got things moving forward, and the American people are just like, come on already.
Okay,
Dr.Gina, hang on a second.
We had a hearing because Comey had his feelings hurt. He's America's oldest millennial. Who knew that in the FBI we needed therapy dogs and safe spaces?
All right, let me get Juan in here because he's been sitting nicely for a very long time. Go ahead.
Well behaved. But you know what? I listen and I think to myself, wait a second. Not only is President Trump's approval rating down in the mid-30s according to Gallup. I mean, this guy's hitting like lows. The American people are like, what is going on? He's not advancing an agenda. You've got divisions in the Republican ranks. Republicans control the Senate and the House and the White House, and they're not getting anything done.
Lisa,
in addition to which, hang on a second,
in
addition to which, right now, we got, I think it's 46% of Americans in a Politico poll saying it's time for impeachment. They take this matter very seriously, and Comey called the man a liar.
That is true. Comey did call him a liar. But, Lisa, let's get back to what we Americans really care about. We're talking about the labor market. We're talking about the stock market. We're talking about the housing market. They're all making new highs. They're all getting bigger and stronger under President Trump. And you can't give this to President Obama because these policies are real. These rallies are really on the basis of all the rolling back of regulations that Donald Trump has signed into law.
Well, a couple of things here. You know, one, in terms of the things that Americans actually care about, look, it's incumbent upon Republican members and members of Congress who are running for re-election. Look, these races are going to be won locally. They're going to be won by focusing on the local media, by focusing on the issues that their district and or state cares about. And so that's going to be incumbent on those members to convey the things that they are working on in Congress to voters. And secondly, the point I was trying to make earlier, you know, I agree with Rachel to an extent, but I do think it's the Intelligence Committee's job to focus on some of this stuff. And I think Chairman Burr actually did the president a great favor, because what did we find out this week? We found out that President Trump was being truthful when he said that he wasn't under investigation. And also, I think Comey really hurt himself, because now there are questions being raised by liberal law professors like Jonathan Turley about if he leaked classified information. So how can we trust the former FBI director?
It wasn't classified. Let's be accurate. I think it's awful that he leaked this information, but it's not. It wasn't classified, and he was.
But that's not what Jonathan Turley. But Eric, Jonathan Turley was raising the fact that this was on government.
Government, yes, government, but not classified. And Comey specifically said he made sure there was nothing classified in the memo. Hold on, but let me ask Juan this: if it was so innocuous, this information, this memo, why did he give it to a law professor to leak to the New York Times? Why didn't he just do it himself, Comey?
Oh, you forget that the president had come out and issued, I think it was a tweet, Eric, and said, I've got tapes, I've got tapes. The president didn't put out the tapes, but the suggestion was he has taped something that's going to impugn Comey's reputation. And remember, initially
why didn't Comey just say, hey, New York Times, I took this memo, here it is. Instead, he's privately whispered it to a former colleague and law professor and said, hey, leak this to the Times. It just seems sneaky and underhanded and undermining.
I remember, I'm a creature of Washington, but yes, what he did was avoid a media frenzy by saying, here is Comey now, before testimony, releasing this information. He did it in a way to get the information out, but not put the spotlight on some confrontation prematurely between himself and President Trump.